Hello and welcome to this week's photography Pubcast. This week is, I don't know, I've lost count of the episodes, 48 I think, so I haven't actually lost count. We've got another great guest on tonight, all the way from Canada, a brilliant photographer, brilliant vlogger, very thought-provoking, and, well, I'll let him tell you the rest. It's Simon Byrne. Hello, Simon.
Bonjour.
Bonjour.
Thank you for having me.
Ça va?
Welcome to the podcast. Now, before we get going, I will say that we had a comment last week from Gear Railson, and he said, first of all, he said, congratulations, Dave. A lot of people said congratulations, Dave. So,
Thank you.
Congratulations, Dave. Let's just say that again. Congratulations, Dave. He said, I really enjoy watching these talks, guys. I think I've watched every one, but I would like a presentation of your guests. Let them talk about themselves a little bit, maybe show a few pictures. So I'll try and lay some pictures over the top. But Simon, do you want to tell us a little, like literally putting you right on the spot?
This is where you do your PowerPoint presentation that you prepared, Simon, earlier. Yeah, that one.
All
Well,
bells
the
down to
easiest
this.
thing is just to go to my YouTube channel and watch the trailer, because that says everything. Okay,
Done.
all right. So I am well, the modern word is content creator. I do photography and video content and creative strategy for brands and publications, and lifestyle, travel, tourism, food, drink, automotive in particular. And excuse me, landscape and travel photography is really a hobby, particularly landscape photography. I keep it in the domain as purely as a hobby, and just have fun with it. And that's how I met all you guys, right? Through the fun of the hobby.
Absolutely.
Is that enough?
That's great. Yeah, no, that's great. Well done.
I'm nervous now.
Sorry, did we all meet on Derwent Water?
That was the
They're all
first
there.
time.
Apart from yourself, Jim, yeah?
I wasn't there yet.
First
Yeah,
time.
apart from Jamie, I met all you three for the first time in person at Derwentwater. Yeah.
And that was 2018, remember?
2018. How time flies.
And then the following day, me, you, Tom Peters and Chris Sale went out.
Chris Sale went out for the
Excellent
day.
day.
And
Excellent
actually,
day,
funny
that
enough, I was talking to Chris the other day. We had a
yeah.
Zoom video thing, and was saying that was one of the best days I've ever had. That was
It was.
brilliant with you guys.
was.
It was just such a fun day.
Oh,
And
it
that's
was.
really what this is all about, as far as I'm concerned, is just meeting cool people and having a great laugh, and
I hope you're
Yeah.
on about the first day there, not the second one.
No, second one.
Right, yeah.
both.
Anyway, don't worry, because Gary will be able to edit that intro down to something usable.
He's like that.
Straight in. What have we been up to this week? Anybody done anything exciting? Anything to tell us? Any news?
I drove to Reading and back in one day, and I did some black and white portrait photography.
Yeah, I saw that. It's very good.
Very good as well.
If ever anything was outside my comfort zone, taking the images was fine. I bought a little 45mm f1.8, so it's equivalent of a 90mm. Lovely little lens. Cost me about 100 quid off MPP, so I thought I won't use it much. And it actually the images were great, but processing them, I was scratching my head over the processing. Not a clue.
Really?
Yeah, I was watching YouTube videos, how to make the most of your portraits. Didn't help. But the ones that turned out really well were actually art directed by Holly. She said, I want this and I want that, and we've got a professional photographer coming later in the week. Oh, thanks a lot. And so she said, but that photographer will tell us what to do, and this is where I can tell you what I want. So, okay, so I did that. But, yeah, that's what I did. I actually did quite enjoy it. I'll probably do it again at some point.
Very nice photos they were too, mate. Very nice.
Nice little triptych.
Yeah. Anyone else do anything exciting? No?
Not this week, no. No.
I bought a new drone this week.
Oh,
Did you?
Yeah, I know. I've just, all the moaning I've done about drones, I would never use a drone. I've had 3 drones and I've sold them. I bought another one. I don't know why.
What have you got then?
What'd you get?
Just a Mavic Mini. Not a Mavic Mini 2, just the original Mavic Mini.
Yeah.
300 quid it was. I'm at a point, I think, where some of the shots that I want to get they're out of reach without a drone. And it's not, I'm not talking about the high shots. I'm talking about just jib shots and crane shots that you can just use a drone for, that you just, if you can't be lugging around a great big sort of, load of jib unit or a dolly or something like that. Drone would be brilliant for it. So
you're going to be artistic with it.
I am, yeah. I haven't taken it out of the box yet.
No.
I bought it 3 days ago. Well, I have actually. I've charged it up, but I haven't used it. But yeah, I think a lot of people, they buy a drone and they think that the thing to do is just push it up to 400 feet and just take as high a shot as they can. But I think there's loads more scope to do some really cool things.
Rotating at higher level and things like that can really
just literally even like use it as where you do your walk, for instance, you walk past. Yeah. Well, if you're flying a drone out quite a long way away and you walk into the scene or walk across the scene, imagine how desolate and sort of isolated you can make yourself look with a distant shot just using a static drone, just something like that. So, so I bought that today.
Are you thinking of climbing mountains then, Gareth? No. The grand vista shots? No,
not really. Not really. Not
He's
yet,
going to send a drone up for a look.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah, I'm not doing that.
Yeah. I'll see how long it takes a drone to get up there and then multiply that by 100. Yeah. And then
I must admit, I bought the Mavic Mini when it came out because it's the sort of thing that you don't notice when you're carrying it around in your bag. But I use it quite a lot for exactly that sort of thing. Loads of opportunities to put a sequence together where you've got literally 4 5 second bits of drone dropped in that you just couldn't possibly do without it. And it's very rarely you can tell it's a drone shot. I think the last time I used it was January when I was walking down by the stream and I thought, I'll just hover it and walk past it and I'm 50 metres away. But I tell you what I do like using it for, and I have done this quite a few times, is a reveal shot. So that I'll fly it backwards and I'm stood there by a tripod as if I'm framing up a shot. And I'll fly it backwards over me and reveal me stood there with the tripod. And I've done that a few times.
There's a definite knack to making it look like you're taking a shot when you're actually, because so many people do it. And you go,
to control.
I can see you controlling that. I can see you. You're sort of
Can you put some sort of auto route though? Automatic setting.
You can't with the Mini.
You just pre-program your flight.
No, the Mini doesn't.
Although saying that, Dave, I was looking and there is an app, a third-party app you can buy now because they released the software development kit.
Yes.
And there's a third-party app that does tracking and all those things.
Are you thinking of Litchi?
That's it, yeah.
Yeah. It's quite janky.
If
you want 300 quid buzzing around and it could off at any minute, sorry.
Go away, yeah.
And it could just suddenly head off. I've heard of flyaways using Litchi and I tried it. Ooh. It was okay, but I was just in the field in front of the house and I thought, no, I'm not doing this halfway up a quarry in Moor Shabod or something like that.
Fair enough. Well, in that case, I shan't be doing that.
But there's still loads of things you can do with it, as you say, those sort of jib shots and dolly shots. And, just doing a slide shot 2 feet above the ground.
Exactly.
It's really difficult to do that steadily with a GoPro or whatever, even on a gimbal.
Yeah. There's so much I think that you can do with a drone other than use it like a standard drone. And that's the reason I sort of got it. And the reason I got the one is because although it only shoots, I think, 24 and 30 in 4K, you can shoot 60, I think, in 1080. I've upscaled some stuff in 1080 on DaVinci Resolve, and you can't tell it's not 4K. So it's a no-brainer for me really to get that one.
The camera's not bad on it either, and it's not great quality, but it's not bad. To be fair, for a few top-down shots, you can get some really unique shots with that drone. I was kicking myself. I went up to North Norfolk and went on the salt marshes and took my drone up there and took some shots going out towards the sea and then back again. And then when I looked back on it, I thought, you idiot, there's a gorgeous pattern of the salt marshes right underneath it. And if I'd have took a top-down shot of that with the drone, it would have looked really unique. But it's, it's not a bad little camera.
Could have been Wax Mondays with that.
You do quite a bit of drone work, don't you, Simon?
Not in Canada, no, because they changed all the laws, and it's I didn't take the the tests. Like they're really strict here.
Okay.
It's like a communist country these days. But when I go to England, I come back to England, I bring it with me, and I've got my little life. Well, it's expired now, but I paid my £9 to the UK government, and off I go. And that's when I really enjoy using it. But I'm same as Gary. I don't want to use it just as a do the default drone shots. I want to use it for some cool shots that you wouldn't even know a drone's being used. In fact, truth is, I do take it out every now and then in Canada and use it illegally. Hope the government isn't watching, but you wouldn't know. You just wouldn't know. Like it, I like to put it up in 20 foot up in sort of just before a canopy in a woods, looking down, for example, and you wouldn't know if you're only seeing 2 seconds and you're doing cut. The whole sequence edited together looks really cool, but you wouldn't know a drone was 2 of those shots were different drone shots in there,
Yeah.
But I've sort of got bored of the whole drone flying through the air for 30 seconds, and that's sort of unless you're somewhere really stunning, maybe like Snowdonia.
Oh yeah, you need 3 drones here.
Yeah.
Or even better, the Lake District.
Boo.
Or the fence.
Well, I've flown my drone in the Lake District more than anywhere else, and I've only been there twice.
You did?
And,
You didn't know Rydal Cave?
Huh?
Rydal Cave, remember?
Oh, that's right. Yeah.
Yes.
But my drone's like a 3-year-old one, and the sensor's like pretty archaic. So that shot that I did in low light, it's just terrible. I mean, little sensors are useless anyway, right, for low light. And but yeah, that was kind of cool actually. But
So
the new ones, there's a new one just come out. I think it was yesterday.
Yeah, 2.
Yeah.
Mavic Air 2, was it?
Yeah, and that's kind of cool because it's got sensors. I don't know whether some of the other models in the recent sort of last year have got them or not, but this one's got four sensors all around, so you can it'll actually automatically stop and fly around things. And my old one's only got it on the front, so doing those reveal shots that Dave was talking about, I actually crashed mine. I've crashed it twice now trying to do that because it's got no sensors. But yeah. So that new one looks pretty cool. But what about your one that you've just bought? Does that have sensor on the back or?
I think so. Yeah, I think it's got all the safety. No, Dave. No, has it not?
They're just placeholders.
I'll be honest with you though. I'm going to switch them off anyway as soon as I get sort of a bit of flight time because
it hasn't got any sensors, mate.
Well, I won't switch them off because it hasn't got any. I'm not even going to bother looking to see if it's got any.
Don't turn them on even.
Yeah, no. So
I'm sorry, my camera's playing up.
That's all right.
If I keep disappearing, it's this cheap Sony rubbish.
So we're talking about. Let's talk about cinematic vlogs because you do a lot of cinematic vlogs, don't you, Simon? Apparently, Jamie, that's right, isn't it? You didn't just mention
he does
that
a lot.
minute ago,
I've watched his YouTube channel for many years. Yeah.
We were sort of discussing on Monday that we might use this as a topic to say that do we prefer the cinematic style of vlog or do we prefer the more talking and just getting out there and almost like being in the moment type of vlog, and what are the pros and cons of each? I think so. I mean, you make a lot of cinematic vlogs, but do you do that because you prefer that style or you just like to be creative?
Well, cinematic is a very vague word, so just want to touch on that. To a lot of people, a lot of these younger creators in particular, cinematic means shallow depth of field, lots of crazy in-camera transition movements, slow motion, speed ramping, and that to me isn't cinematic. That's just cool effects which can work for some things and be a distraction for others.
That's right, because the true cinematic vlogs are bar at the top and bar at the bottom, aren't they?
Well, and that too, and I do that. I like to move my bars in for that, right? You got to play the game, right?
That's how you know it's cinematic. It's almost
and also a teal and orange color grading as well.
Yes,
that's right.
Yeah.
Oh yeah. Oh, sorry. But to me, cinematic means the way you film stuff, the amount of camera angles you use, and the way you light something to enhance the story that you're telling. That's cinematic cinema, movies. Everything in a movie is there's so much thought put into the lighting and the atmosphere that's created enhance the actual story and the feelings that they're trying to evoke, right? That to me is cinematic. I mean, the only movie I can think of that has a slow motion sequence is The Matrix, right? And I don't know any movies that use speed ramping and all these jiggy jaggy, twisty in camera effects. And so, but anyway, to go back to you, I like shooting that sort of those interesting B-roll segments. I think it adds some context to your, if you are blogging, if you're going somewhere and talking about what you're photographing, having a bunch of B-roll and some nice sequences and everything, it helps tell the story. It gives a bit of context. It shows it shows the big picture. It shows little details. It really helps to fill in a lot of information for the viewer. But quite honestly, the reason why I do it isn't for that video or for my channel. It's because I just want to practice that, because I'm looking beyond YouTube eventually, and I just want to practice my filmmaking, to be honest.
So is that what advertisers look for? Is it if a client approaches, is that the sort of product they're after? A more cinematic presentation, obviously.
Sometimes yes, and not because they need it, or not because they really need it, but they think they do. And quite honestly, the market dictates what you do as a creative person, as a photographer or a filmmaker or whatever, right? And sometimes you just have to go with the flow, whether you like it or not. And if people, like right now, the big trend with brands, like drink brands, for instance, and coffee, or whether it's beer or whatever, it's being very influenced by the Toronto creator Daniel Schiffer, right? That drops cans into the water with all the fruit going in. Have you seen all of that stuff? And everybody's doing that. Well, if a beer company came to me and said, "Hey, we love all this stuff that's being created. Can you do that? We want some sequences like that for a marketing campaign." What am I going to do? I'm going to personally think, that's done to death. Have I really got to do that? But then I need to pay the bills. That's what I do for a job. So
you do what they want, basically.
Yeah. So so I'll say, I can do that.
Yeah.
So, but I got to know what I'm doing. So,
I think going back to, I know you mentioned films earlier. I think the only director that comes to my mind is the speed ramp is Guy Ritchie in Lock, Stock and Smoking Barrel.
Yes. Good point. Yeah.
But he really stands out.
That's kind of dated, though, isn't it?
Yeah.
It's kind of been done, and I think the thing is because 20 years ago when those films were out,
it is Sherlock Holmes as well. He did Sherlock Holmes as well.
He did.
He did the same.
Yeah, 20 years ago though, when those films were out, we didn't have that sort of ability to do that, like for our own fun. They were there's expensive bits of software that only film companies could afford. Nowadays, everyone's got that, so we're kind of lagging behind, if you like, and everyone wants to do. I've done it, speed ramp and a clever transition and a bit of colour pop in and all that sort of thing. But you're right, cinematic is putting together a series of well cut and well filmed edits, if you like, or frames to make a story, to tell a story.
Yeah, enhance the story. Yeah.
And I think if you look at it, you're talking about practicing for almost bigger things. Someone who's done that as well is like Jay Gilmore. You look at him; he's now, I believe, he's been contacted by people to produce things for them.
Yes,
and that's because he's gone out onto YouTube and just with quite, no disrespect, but quite sort of mundane, low budget, subjects. He's not gone out and done like a spectacular, someone jumping out of a plane or something. They're sort of, but he's shown his skills.
Yeah. Well, what's interesting is that is the whole landscape for photography and filmmaking or video production really is changing, because 15, 20 years ago there were a lot of big brands. Let's use beer and cider as an example. There were very few big brands, and they have big agencies and big production companies, and you couldn't even get a look in there unless you go through the traditional sort of process of getting a job as a lackey in a production studio and working your way up. But now there are far more smaller businesses, smaller breweries and cideries, but they can't afford to go to those big agencies and production companies to get video content, commercials filmed. They don't have the budget. So it sort of opened it up for small creators, I suppose, like myself, that one, two, three people can go in and create something that traditionally was done by a 15-person crew for £500,000 or whatever. So yeah, I think there's a lot of opportunity out there, and I forgot what the original question was, and I think I'm going off tangent.
Welcome to the Pubcast.
Have any of us scripted a vlog before, in terms of actually just storyboarded it out? Let's plan what we're going to do, how we're going to do it, and actually do it. Because I've never done that. I'll be honest. I've never scripted a vlog and storyboarded it.
I have wanted to ask if I'm thinking about a certain subject. The one I think of is when I talk about the advantages of using a telephoto lens. So what I did is just gather together a load of bullet points, and then just talk around that in different scenarios. But not
interestingly,
not
that was one of my favourite videos of yours.
Yeah,
I think it's coincidental.
It's one of the most popular.
Yeah.
Yeah. But I don't particularly enjoy doing them. To be honest,
I've done it once with the whole thing about the lockdown. So leading up to lockdown, and then Boris announcing lockdown, and then being in the house and that. And I kind of storyboarded it because I knew the shots that I wanted to get, and I could get them. It's very difficult, I think, when you're out to storyboard your day because you don't know what you're going to get.
Oh, exactly.
So, you couldn't go
especially
out.
In the films, Lake District.
Exactly. You couldn't go out somewhere like that and say, right, I'm going to storyboard this and going to do it. You could have a shot list though. I'm sure you know much more about this, Simon, than I do. But you could have a shot list. You could say, right, I need most good films, if you like, videos, vlogs, whatever you want to call them. They'll have an opening sequence where you've got an establishing shot and something here and something there, and you could write down a list of all the shots you want. I mean, I've never done it, but something I might start doing.
Well, maybe that's the difference between a vlog and a film or a cinematic vlog, is the fact that a vlog is just simply us going out and being spontaneous on the day, depending on the conditions, and whatever pictures we take is what it is. But something that's more scripted and something that's more thought through in terms of shots that you want to take, or the way that you want to film your B-roll and how you want to present it, is more of a film and more of a cinematic. So maybe
it all depends at the end of the day how you edit it. You can still go out, film a load of footage, images, and then just build a story along with a voiceover. Create a story that way. That's what I do a lot of times.
I think there's a skill in both. I think there's a real skill in storyboarding a film, but there's also a real skill in going out, not knowing what you're going to get, and turning that into a story in the edit. There's a bit of skill in knowing, thinking, I need B-roll for this, I need B-roll for this, while you're out on the fly, and then getting back and then going, right, what's the story here? How am I going to tell this story? And I think there's a bit of skill in both. Definitely.
Yeah. It's interesting how we think in terms of producing videos as a skill, as something we enjoy doing in parallel to the photography, because for each of us, whilst we may not have a storyboard, whilst we may not have, we're going to do this and this, we're also not, it's not just some random stream of consciousness like a running commentary on ourselves. We know we're going to hook sequences together with a bit of B-roll. We know we're going to put a bit of B-roll over where we're talking, and all of these things, because we just enjoy the process of making videos. So I think that however we approach it, and we've talked many a time about, well, do we really care very much about what we're trying to achieve in terms of, if you do it cinematic, you'll get a bigger audience and this, that, and the other. We just do it because we enjoy it, and like Simon was saying, he enjoys the landscape photography as a hobby. My bloody camera's gone again. Sorry about this, folks. I'm still here. I'm with you in spirit.
Oh, there you are.
Terrible power cuts in Wales at the moment.
Don't buy a Sony RX100.
I think
it's overheating.
Producing videos for YouTube, I think there's two thoughts, or at least I have two thoughts. Are you going to do a vlog style video that is packed full of value, like your thought process and how you're composing an image and all of this sort of stuff, or are you going to create something where the value is so the value there is technical and creative value in terms of the photography, or are you going to create something where the value is sort of entertainment value, where you're showing off your where you are in the best possible way to keep viewers watching. Oh, look at that beautiful view, and look at that lovely shot. Oh, that's fantastic. It's and like sometimes I try to do, well, actually not sometimes, when I do ever have the time to go out and do that, I try to do both actually. I try to give some photography value, but I also try to create something that you just want to watch because it's just nicely shot and put together. But I think, I don't know about you guys, but what I find is the stuff that I don't give any thought to, and I just randomly go out and start talking and post something, gets way more views than where I've actually thought, right, I'm going to go out and I'm actually going to film something, try and do something quality today, and I'm going to do some nice B-roll and do all of this and nicely edit it together. And I don't know, I just did recently, I think about a month ago, I did this spur moment thing where I was sitting in a park bench and I was just talking about my little camera bag and my lightweight gear that I'm using now, and it gets over 3,000 views. And I just put out a video this week where I actually put some effort for the first time in ages, where I edited it together and I shot my B-roll, and a lot of thought and time went into it, and I've got like 200 views. I think, why do I bother? so I think people want value, right? They're looking for tips and tricks and more than they are to be entertained in our genre, I think.
It's interesting though, because this leads on to something that we're going to talk about perhaps in a little while. But just touching on it now, I had a bit of an epiphany at the weekend about views and subscribers and monetization, and I think that going forward, I don't care. Of course I care, but I want to make videos that are creatively worth something, if that makes sense. So I want to make videos that I've worked hard to produce the best I can for something that I'm proud of, rather than I found myself recently having thoughts about, what's going to get the most views here? What's going to get them, what's going to get me more subs in? I'll do that. I'll just do that. And to me, that's kind of filler now. And I don't want to do filler. Right? And I don't care if, I want to create something that I'm proud of, and that, say, my core, everyone's got a core subscriber base, if you like, that will watch you, and it isn't about trying to draw new people. It's about making those people happy, if you like, and making yourself happy. And I want to aim at that now. So even if 100 or 200 people watch it, rather than 1,500 or whatever, I'd rather do that now than have loads of people watch it but not be happy with it, just be doing it for the sake of it, almost like a bit of a sort of like a boy band analogy, just turning out another record, another record.
Also, it would be no fun at all. I mean, let's be fair, we could all go out and shoot an oversaturated sunset, stick it on Instagram and soak up the love, but we'd soon get pretty bloody fed up if that was what we were doing, just for people to go, oh yeah, terrific shot. So, we have photographic integrity, and it's perfectly reasonable that we should also have video integrity, I think.
Yeah, definitely.
I just think it causes too much anxiety as well. You're thinking too much about the views and the subjects.
It'd be no fun, would it?
Well, I mean, you've touched on it already. So it is all about enjoying yourself, and over time, you created that leads to better content because you're enjoying yourself, and in time that leads to more views, etc. So it's a rolling subject, isn't it? Really.
Well, this is the thing. I mean, we can talk about it now if you want to, but I was kind of becoming so. For the last few months, I've been way more subscriber and view orientated than I was before that, and I'd almost unconsciously slipped into that. So prior to that, I was always about being creative, trying to inspire people, and trying to shine a light on bloggers or creators or whatever you want to call them, who have got way less, subscribers than me. Way less. I mean, I'm not saying I'm big, but bigger than sort of like a smaller vlogger, and giving them a platform and that's what I was always about. And over the last sort of few months, I feel like I've gone away from that, or had gone away from that, and I was starting to think, oh, must do a website, must start selling prints, must start doing this, must start doing that. And it's almost like all of my creativity was just stifled because I was going into this other whole area of sort of, it's got to be about, what am I going to do in the future? How am I going to make this work? And as soon as I realised at the weekend, I realised beforehand, but I switched off all my ads. I just said, right, I'm not bothering anymore with this website at the moment. I'm not bothering with ads. I'm not bothering with, all of these bits and pieces. I'm just going to go back to what I was doing before. And all of a sudden, I had all these ideas come flooding back. What about doing this, or what about doing that? And they weren't there before, because I was all driven down a single path almost, if that makes sense.
It's interesting, isn't it? Because none of us, apart from Simon to an extent, are professionals in terms of trying to sell through our YouTube channels. As Simon admitted earlier on, he does his landscape photography in his YouTube primarily as a hobby, and if it promotes his work through his product photography and automotive, then that's a bit of a spin-off. But none of us are really pushing our work through our channels, so therefore it is more of a pastime than something that is meant to generate revenue for us or opportunity. So we shouldn't necessarily be completely absorbed by views and subs, but I think it's natural to be concerned if you're not getting views and you're losing subs, because you're then thinking about, well, what's wrong with my content? What's wrong with what I'm doing? So I think it's natural to be, inquisitive about, let's get how I can get more views and how I can get more subs, but it shouldn't absorb you and it shouldn't take over your, for your point, Gary, your creative mind to the point where that's all you're focused on. It should just be happening naturally. So we shouldn't let it take over us. But I think we all will be, whenever we release a video, we'll look where the views are, how the views are comparing to other videos. And you just can't help. It's just a natural, we put it public. So at the end of the day, we're interested in what the public think. And I think that's just natural of anybody being on YouTube, that they are naturally, wanting the attention in a way, albeit, not necessarily for adoration, but more for, reflection of what we do and acceptance of that we can do a good job taking a picture and also creating a video. So.
I think, like I said when we were chatting about it, because you're bang on, you're absolutely spot on. Of course, you don't put a video out. You wouldn't put it out on YouTube if you didn't want people to watch it, would you? You just wouldn't. You just keep it to yourself. But the point is I think that I crossed a line where I stopped worrying about people watching it because they enjoyed the creative content of it and the the sort of the quality of it, if you want. And I started thinking about it in terms of money. All that almost like extra view there is half a penny or whatever ridiculous amount it is. But
not even that.
Yeah, but it's like you sort of. You tend to, once you're getting it into your head, you start thinking, we've all done it, and I'm sure we've all done it. I've gone down the route of thinking, workshops, I could run workshops and I could sell prints here. I could do channel membership, I could and I hold my hands up, what about if I did coffee? Yeah. No, but I have done I'm just saying.
What you do, we just took the piss out of it instead.
Yeah, so I did. Yeah, well, I did, or Patreon or something. But I think the thing is the more that I thought about all this stuff, the further I was going away from the reason I started the channel in the first place. It's like you say, Jamie. I'm just a hobbyist. I'm just an amateur. I just enjoy it for the sake of doing it. And as soon as I switched off and went, actually, no, do you know what? This is why I do it. I found I started enjoying it so much more again. And I think my last vlog is one of my best ones I've done for ages because I was just enjoying my day.
You could see.
And just enjoying the process.
Exactly. And that came across in the camera. Yeah. And if you come across as more enthusiastic, you attract naturally more views. That's how it works, isn't it? Yeah. What's of course the content.
Just to clarify, Jamie, I don't use my channel for clients. I don't show it to clients, or I don't sort of monetize it in any way directly like that. It's just really it is for my pure enjoyment and to learn. I'm learning from it.
Yeah, but if clients happen to see it and then register that you're producing
I hope they don't see it. Honestly, I've got a whole other platform and other stuff where I put proper work videos. I don't. I keep the two separate. Oh yeah, I keep the two separate.
Use a different format to promote then.
Absolutely, and if I'm and I actually go to clients anyway and give them private stuff. No, I don't want to go into that, but that's this my channel is completely for my hobby, for my enjoyment, for fun, and to be part of this great group of guys like yourselves and learn. It's a learning platform as well as a social platform. It's a learning platform. But it's interesting though, talking about building your channel is so many people will start and it's their hobby and they like going out on weekends and shooting and making the vlogs, and it slowly turns into, oh, maybe I can start doing workshops, or maybe I can start selling, this and that, and I find there's nothing wrong with that. I find that really interesting. But for me, I have zero, I have nothing to sell. Other photographers, the public, if you like, are not my audience. I don't intend to do workshops. I don't want to do color grading packages or books or anything. I've nothing to sell. If you want to do a workshop with me and we go out and meet at the Lake District one weekend, I'll do it for free. How about that? Like, seriously, nothing to sell. But maybe I should. But I don't know. I mean, but I think that can spoil things. But I don't know. I mean, if you don't do photography and something creative is your job, maybe you want to do it. For me, I don't, because I already do that for my job, albeit in a different field. I don't feel the need to want to build. Does that make sense? I don't want to build into. I don't want to create a business out of what I do on YouTube. Yeah. But I think if people do that, good for them. I don't have any problem with that. I think I actually like to see people, build a channel and make money and start to go somewhere with it. I think it's fantastic. Why not? If you're providing value and
that's the key. That's the key, and I 100% agree. But you've got to provide value. You've got to provide something that's saleable, that's worth that's worth it. And I've been very critical of people in the past, very critical of all sorts of things. But I'm going to try and step back from that myself personally and be a lot less. Don't smile, Dave. It's true. I'm going to try and be a lot less judgmental with people and say, yeah, all right, if that's what you want to do, fine, absolutely fine.
Yeah. Just don't all jump on the. The only thing I don't like is actually, and again, it's just a personal thing, but I can't hold it against the people that do it. Is all of these big channels, they all get sent the same piece of gear and they all launch their videos on the same day. Like the new DJI drone that came out yesterday. You've got I don't subscribe to any of the big channels anymore, but I still somehow get them on my feed or in
suggestions.
Everybody's reviewed the same damn drone, talking about just spieling off the whole, press release information specs, and it's just, oh, give me a break. But you know what? It's their living. Their YouTube channel is their living, and it makes them money. So why not?
People not look at them and go, I watch a few, and they're always, this is the best one ever. The best drone ever, the best camera ever, the best this ever. And every single one, the next one is the best one ever, the best one ever. Wouldn't it be refreshing if one of them said, yeah, no, it's a bit shit, actually.
Yeah, the worst ever.
I don't like this one.
Don't buy this.
Yeah.
Then they wouldn't get, that company wouldn't send them any more gear. And
oh, no, but it'd be fun though, wouldn't it? Dear. All right, well, I think we've exhausted that conversation.
But I think, shall we not link on to the fact that, Simon, when you go out and do your photography, you say you separate your landscape stuff and your videos and your photos as well. You go out and take images with the intent of selling on stock, is that right? Or for advertisers?
No.
Do you not?
Not anymore, no.
For editorial?
No.
Use?
No.
You used to?
For 20 odd years I did. No, I suppose I'll.
Perhaps I should have done my own work before.
You're a crap interviewer, James.
No, you know what? No, that's not true. I mean, if I go somewhere and the view is absolutely stunning. Let's say I was in the Lake District and the scene in front of me was stunning. I'm shooting for myself, but I probably can't resist doing a few verticals and just in case,
leaving a lot of space in the top half of the image where usually you crop it out.
Yeah,
you did a video,
case.
didn't it? I'm sure you did a video on it not too long ago.
You did.
That was a couple of years ago now. Yeah,
you
It was
did.
a while back. Corfe Castle, wasn't it? You were Corfe Castle.
Yeah. But no, honestly, I got to be honest. I spend most of my effort in the filmmaking end of it now, not in worrying about what photos I'm going to come back with. That's just the photography is just an excuse to get out and make some video. But I know I decided a long time ago that landscape photography was going to be purely a hobby, mainly because I started doing landscape photography and working for brands and selling landscape images to brands. And suddenly I found myself, going to like the Canadian Rockies because I came to Canada and I sold a bunch of images to some banks for calendars and stuff. And then the next time I went to the Rockies, I felt this pressure. It's, I'm only here for 3 days. I've got to get a whole bunch of sunrises and a whole bunch of sunsets and a whole bunch of this and that. And then it's, hold on a minute, I'm not enjoying this now.
Yeah.
This is a weekend off. I'm running an agency. This was back when I had an agency. I'm running the agency during the week. Should be having fun and just enjoying the hiking. And I don't need this. So I stopped doing it. It's sometimes it's hard to separate the two, but no, I do a pretty good job of just hobby only, just for fun, no pressure.
It's weird
No
though.
pressure.
You look at. I'd imagine you look at a landscape, even now, like you say, you just do it for fun. But even now, I bet you look at a landscape and you think, there's a lovely bit of dead space there. That'd make a nice bit. That'd make a nice bit of room for some text.
That would make a nice front cover. Nice bit of text and masthead. Yeah.
I don't know about you, the rest of you guys. I don't even think like that. It doesn't even enter my head. But it's really interesting that, because I'd imagine how many shots out there do people take that you could never use in a magazine. Never ever.
Oh, you'd be surprised. I've actually helped set up a lot of magazines and played photo editor for them and actually worked with photographers, like professional photographers that do this for a living supposedly. And when they turn up with the images, you'd be surprised how they haven't got a clue, half of them, about shooting for magazines, for a cover or for a spread or allowing for any sort of text. And it's actually even more complicated now because we've got the internet. And so now you've got to shoot your wide panoramic type images for tops of pages, but you've also got to take into consideration that and Dave would be able to talk more on this, depending on how the website is built, that as soon as you look at it on mobile, now it's vertical, right? So for instance on Squarespace, and this is interesting because I already knew you were going to ask this question. If you're shooting, say, a landscape shot, and you put your subject on, say the left third, when you put it on a desktop, on a web page on a desktop, it's perfect. But as soon as you look at that on a mobile, it kind of goes like this, and then it goes in, right? So that element, that focal point of the image, the whole point of the image is no longer even visible on the mobile. So you have to go against what you know as a photographer in terms of you have to break the composition rules, like the rule of third in particular, and you have to make sure that if you're going to go out and shoot landscapes, and while you're shooting them you want to create something for editorial and digital use, maybe that you could sell one day. If you've got that lone tree in a field and you do your traditional shot where it's on a third of the frame, you've also got to do a version where it's smack bang in the middle, which it might look really weird, but as soon as you put that on a web page and you see it, and then it, you know what I mean? It's just, there's so many considerations, but they go against what we do as fine art photography.
If you're using an image as a section background and you want it to be parallax, so you're scrolling your text in front of it.
Yeah.
I've seen this countless times where the image is so distorted to fill the parallax space. It's ridiculous.
Yeah.
So I mean, if you look at some of the images that look great on a website, and you just saw it as an image, you think, what the hell is that rubbish?
Yeah. I'm going to show you an example. There's a right plonker here that's got this website, right? And he just uploaded a page yesterday. And here's the banner at the top here's the image at the top of the page, right? So looking into the shop, right?
Right.
Yeah.
Yeah.
But as soon as you see that on mobile, gone.
Yeah.
Total amateur, that guy.
Terrible.
Complete amateur.
Terrible. Get rid of him.
You'd
Honestly.
think he was a print expert, wouldn't you? Not an online chap.
Print? I don't do any print anymore. That's gone with the pterodactyls. That has. Everything's digital
No, it
now.
hasn't. No, it hasn't. Print lives
Oh,
on. Print lives on. Embrace paper-based products, I say.
Please.
Jamie's clinging on by his fingertips.
Keep my job.
But that's really interesting, though, how you described it, because you wouldn't necessarily even think about trying to recompose a shot, would you, unless you actually see the impact it has on different devices. So if you're doing that, so I guess the only way you'd do that is you'd have to know that, and you'd have to go out there specifically with the brief to take a particular shot, and as you say, you'd have to take it in 3 or 4 different ways, different compositions, just to get the end result. So
yeah, I think you've got so many options now for saleable images in different sort of mediums and platforms and whatnot that it's very hard to go out for fun and do some landscape photography and then consider everything, because it's almost infinite in a way. I think you need to figure out that if you want to maybe sell some images down the road, excuse me, whether it's on stock sites or whether you're talking to tourism organizations directly or whatever, you kind of need to know who you're going to be talking to and what sort of content they produce and understand what their requirements are ahead of time. It just makes life a lot easier. For instance, there might be I don't know, I never looked, but there might be a Lake District tourism organization, which is a very, big guide that gets lots of views and they need to create lots of content. You kind of need to know that first and shoot for that,
Okay, so moving on, because we were going to discuss photography room 101, which photography object we're going to put in room 101, but someone
you need to get on Mikey McManus for that.
yeah. Oh, actually, while we're at it, I want to mention, I forgot last week to mention Mikey's vlog. If you haven't had a chance to watch I don't think it's his latest one, I think it's the one before, when he was talking about that you can be negative and it's allowed. I thought it was a brilliant vlog. Yeah. Really well orated, put his point across really well. And do you know what? He did that in pretty much one take, which shows
it was
the guys.
Scripted though. It was scripted.
Well, I don't know.
He was reading a video printer. Yes, he was. Look at his eyes.
Okay,
yes.
We'll have to see if he comments on it and say he was. But I was impressed with his passion on the subject. And actually, people are allowed to have negative conversations or be critical of other things. It's healthy to be critical, and it's healthy to have people be critical of your work. It's how you learn and how you move forward.
And it's how it's done.
Yeah, to just ignore it and block it out, you're never going to grow as a person or a creator or whatever, because you're just going to say, it's like la 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 la. It's like, you're never going to learn when someone's trying to help you. There you go. That was that. Anyway, what are we going to do? Oh, yeah, Photography 101, but James hasn't got a subject.
Not just me, sir.
And Dave.
Who hasn't?
Yeah, but I can come up with something a bit sharpish because I'm quite negative. I can think of about 10 things straight away. No trouble at all.
I think we'll give James 5 minutes to think about that. And
just go along with it. If I pop up, you never know.
Sorry, I haven't got one either, but I didn't say. I think what we'll do quickly while we're all thinking about one to put in there is we can talk about social media piracy. And this was something you wanted to talk about, Dave.
Well, it wasn't so much I wanted to talk about. I was just interested to know what your thoughts are, because I saw on Twitter, I've sort of had, not had to, but I'm still on Twitter and back on Instagram purely because I've got family and friends that are on it and I want to keep up with them. And by that I mean, people that I would get in my car and go spend time with, not just people who I've heard of or whatever. So I won't be following anybody particularly. However, that said, I saw this thing, and I think it must have been a friend of a friend's, why it turned up on my feed. There's this woman who puts quite eye-catching images up, all sorts of genres, and gets loads of love. Oh, lots of, that's fantastic. Oh, I'll retweet that. Oh, that's terrific. And I thought, hang on a minute, I recognise that. That's a really well-known image. And you've just put it up there and palmed it off as your own work and not credited the original photographer. And so I thought, no, I'm not having this. So I waded in with a comment, oi, bitch, shape up. And it was a full on both barrels. I thought, I'm just not having this. I don't care what you think of me if I'm going to call you out on it. And so my question was, that's why I dumped it in our chat channel, was, would you do that, or would you pussyfoot around it, or would you give someone both barrels for overtly ripping another photographer off who you knew they were being ripped off?
Oh, I actually did it myself about, I can't remember how long ago it was. And I'm pretty sure it was Neil Burnell.
It was.
It was his shot that someone had used, but she got it in the end from another guy. So she got it from some, I think it was like either a Tumblr account, I think it was, and he posted a load of images, and she showed it, and because it was quite spooky, and I think she was a bit sort of goth alternative, and she'd posted it, but it was Neil Burnell's, and so actually I did at that point say, listen, it's not cool, you shouldn't be sharing, you shouldn't be using other people's work. But she actually said, I didn't realise, I thought it was this guy's work who's happy to have his work shared, and actually he'd nicked it from Neil Burnell. So, but yeah, it's done all over the place. On Twitter, it's rife, and you don't realise, Instagram as well. You don't realise how many people are stealing other people's images and just posting them up for their own. And it's pot luck if you come across it as the as the person who's actually created it. I use what's it called? Is it Pixie? Pixie, is it? The one where it trawls the net to find images. You link it to your account, Flickr or whatever, and then this thing trawls the net to find ones. And I've found one guy used about 4 or 5 of my images on, I don't know, the site was not a big site, but it was sort of a version of Instagram, but sort of like a much less used one, where he'd said a day around London, and he'd done a blog about his day around London, but all the pictures, 3 of the pictures used for his vlog of the day around London were mine.
Good.
And I sort of looked at it, but do you know what I thought? It's been viewed like twice. He's a nobody, so I just didn't even bother. I sort of left it.
What annoyed me was that this was an award-winning Mexican photographer, and so it wasn't sort of defending a keen amateur who's. It was just. I just thought somebody needs to call this woman out and say, this is somebody who has got a lot of followers. This image was getting a lot of traction, and so right in the middle of her comments now is someone saying, yeah, you're just a low rent pirate. Mm-hmm. So hopefully these other people have got the message, and will, you'd like to think they'll go, well, I won't follow this account anymore.
Did she reply back at all?
Sorry?
Did she reply back at all?
I don't know. I didn't check. It was 3 or 4 days ago. I went in. How dare you? Full on rapping the keyboard, and moved on with my life.
There's a massive difference, obvious difference, if she's claiming it is her image. But I think the natural reaction is if you post an image, people think it is yours.
Yeah, well, I looked at her account, and it was obvious she drops 1 or 2 a day, and either she's one of the best photographers there has ever been, or she's just soaking up the Twitter love from people who don't know any better. But it was almost I wanted to educate the people that were following her as much as call her out, to say, this is if you know a bit about photography, you'll know this photographer. So,
we talked about this before, but I had the same thing on my my village Facebook page. Right, there's a woman on there, and she regularly goes out and takes pictures with her iPad. So she'll pop off up the springs or enter her back garden, and she'll go, saw a blackbird or a robin today, and there'll be like 4 pictures where the robin's like this big on the screen, pixelated, and then one out of the 4 will be like the best picture of a robin you've ever seen. And I looked at, me and my wife, we sort of used to look at them and go, that's not right. She's got that from somewhere, clearly. So you start off by being all sort of like, so you send her a thing saying, what camera did you use on that? It's really nice. And so I just took it on my iPad. You're like, that's bokeh for your iPad. And then, another time you'll say, well, this is really good. But the trouble is, all the time she's getting like, you should enter this into competition. Thank you very much. This is amazing. Thank you very much. Blah, blah, blah. And then she'd do it like, she'd go, I've been at the Springs today. 5 pictures of mud, and then one of some Bavarian rainforest that just looks like something you've never seen. And you go, whereabouts in the Springs is that? And she'd say, oh, it's just round the back. That you can't see. And in the end, she'd done this for probably 6 or 7 months. And the one that finally got me was, it was autumn. And she posted, 7 iPad pictures of out of focus leaves, and one of a load of falling leaves, which was a still from a computer generated video of falling leaves that she'd nicked off a site to say, download this animation of falling leaves. And in the end I said, look, this is ridiculous. And I sort of said, you've done this loads, and this is someone else's work that they've gone out and put all the effort in that you're claiming as your own, and it's not right. And you know what happened? She blocked me, deleted it, and then carried on doing it. Because people just don't care.
No.
And that's the fact of it. It doesn't matter how many times you point it out to them. You could point it out to that woman probably, Dave, until you're blue in the face and tell all of her followers. She'll just delete your comment and carry on.
I don't blame her. I would.
But it's wrong, though. It is wrong. You're right. But I don't think there's a cure. I don't think there's a cure for Twitter, unfortunately.
It is wrong, but I think we'd all do what you did with Neil Burnell. If it's a known photographer and therefore you know that it's been blatantly stolen, you would absolutely call them out and add them up for it, because it's just wrong. It's just respect for the community of photographers, isn't it, really? And the work that they produce and the effort they put into it, that somebody can just nick it and claim it as theirs. This is
the sad thing, though, isn't it? That we're so desperate nowadays for people to like us or like what we do, that we'll go to lengths of stealing stuff just so people say, that's really nice, I like that, I like what you've done there. Because there's no other benefit. They're not selling it. They're not going to do anything with it. They literally just want people to put a little heart on it to say, well done, we like you, I'm going to validate what you are, even though you've nicked it off of someone else. How sad's that, really? Lacking
self-esteem, obviously, aren't they? They just want a bit of credit and love. Bless them. There's better ways to do it, isn't there? Go on dating sites.
Yeah, Dave, you bastard.
Grumpy by name, grumpy by nature.
But how do you feel about people that rent Lamborghinis for the day and take pictures for Instagram sitting in a Lamborghini, giving the impression that it's theirs? Like, that's the same thing to me. It's like people looking for attention, and they're just doing whatever they can to make themselves look good. Is that the same thing to you?
Is that like hiring a limo on your hen night?
No,
this is my limo.
No, I he's not going to watch this, so I'll say it. I'm not going to say who, but there's a guy in Toronto that I actually worked with. We were doing filming a TV show a few weeks ago, and I thought, I'll follow him. Seems like a nice guy, young guy in his 20s, and
is it Bieber? Is it Bieber?
Huh?
Is it Bieber?
No. So I noticed actually yesterday on, where was it, LinkedIn or somewhere it might have been, that he put a picture up. He was sitting in a Lamborghini, and the way he shot it and the caption that he used, it looked like it was his. And he's like, where am I going to drive in my Lamborghini now, type thing. And I thought, Jesus, like, is that what people like? like, because it's cool to be a successful entrepreneur these days, and apparently if you want to be a successful entrepreneur, you've got to have a Lamborghini and a private jet.
I'm screwed.
So I don't know, that to me is worse than somebody taking somebody's image to try and get attention. But hey, that's just me.
It's all the same though. You can go down as many levels as you want, whether it's someone stealing someone's photos, someone pretending that they're famous or rich or successful because they've hired a Lamborghini. It's the same. You go right down the levels where you get people, and these are the ones that annoy me more than anything, right? Facebook, yeah? Having a great time at the party. Stop putting on Facebook and have a fucking great time then. You don't, if you're having that much of a good...
Can we just rewind half an hour?
I know.
Yeah,
what do you say about... Now, new leaf. I turn out a new leaf and positive.
I'm just saying, if you're having that much of a good time...
It wasn't even half an hour.
You're not...
No, what was it? Rewind, that 10 minutes.
If you're having that much of a good time, there's no need to put it on Facebook. You wouldn't have time to put it on Facebook because you're having a good time. Or the other one, right, that really...
Go on, Gary. What else annoys you?
Love you. Right, Facebook, yeah? Oh, John's so annoying. Yeah, you're really annoying as well, Kathy. You're sitting on the same sofa. Right, have the conversation with each other. Don't put it on Facebook. There's a couple who live near me, and they're lovely. They're lovely people, right? They're really lovely people, but I had to delete them as friends on Facebook because every single time, every night, it'd be like, sat watching someone on the sofa with my fella. Yeah, it's great, isn't it? We love what. Have the conversation
Your
between
messenger.
yourself. Yeah, just talk to. Look, they're there. You don't need to do it through the medium of Facebook.
Yeah.
That really, but that's just the same. It's just people wanting, look at all the Instagram influencers. That's not them. That's not their lives.
No.
But do you not think so that social media has driven it all in the first place?
Yeah, of course it has. Absolutely.
Narcissism,
It's the society
isn't it,
we're
basically?
in. Yeah,
Yeah,
absolutely.
Yeah.
Yeah.
It's the opportunity for fame, it's easy. It's easy to be done, isn't it?
Yeah. Well, it is, and it's easy to fake it. It's really easy to fake it, and it's like, if you look, you've said this before. TikTok, you go on TikTok, and it is just awash with just people trying to pretend that there's something they're not because they want to be famous for being famous. They just want to be famous for what? For getting loads of views on TikTok or Instagram. They just want to. What are you famous for? Being famous. What's your talent? I'm famous. It's madness. Absolute madness.
Kim Kardashian.
This is one of those subjects that we could talk about for all night, but we're never going to change the fact that it just happens. It is what it is.
It is what it is.
We can 6 or 5 grumpy old men can moan about it as much as we want to, but
kids today, I tell you, they ain't gonna well, haven't they?
Makes me feel bad.
They spend all their life on their mobile phones. They should get out of the countryside.
Yeah,
breathe that.
Get
fresh
out,
air.
play football, play cricket, get on your bike.
Ultimately, you've got a choice, though, right? You don't have to. Watch all of this stuff or have a Facebook account or anything. So I don't know. It's like the thing is, to quote Gary Vaynerchuk, the market is the market. If you don't like it, then you just got to deal with it. You've got 2 choices: deal with it, work with it, or just get the hell out, just ignore it. And bringing it back to photography, over the past few years, there have been landscape photography in particular. There have been landscape photographers that have been complaining that a lot of landscape photographers with big YouTube followers aren't great photographers, and it's not fair because I'm better than them or such and such is better than them. And you know what? It's deal with it then. Do something about it. Complaining about it and feeling sorry for yourself is not the answer. Nothing's going to change because the market is the market. You can either start a YouTube channel and tell your story and give your perspective or don't watch YouTube. Like, that's it. It's simple.
So hang on. Complaining about it is not the answer.
No, complaining about it isn't the answer. Well, you're not going to benefit, are you?
That's Gary's.
Oh, that's you,
That's
Jack.
like literally. That's just my whole life wasted.
That's his essence.
No, you're right. You're absolutely right.
It's like I know some people don't like. A lot of people don't like Peter McKinnon, right? And I know I've got some friends, some fellow photography friends, and part
You
of
love
our
him.
sort of. No, I don't. I
Yes, you
respect
do.
him because he's figured it out and he's making money from it, and I don't have to watch him. I don't subscribe to him, by the way, because most of his stuff he's under pressure to perform now. He's just you get to the point with a YouTube channel where if it's your full-time job, you've got this pressure to keep making money. It's where you get your income from. So you become a sleazy used car salesman sometimes, and sometimes you do great creative content that, nobody's forcing anybody to do anything. Wow, that drink's really kicking in now.
What were you saying?
Yeah.
Distracted you.
I told you shouldn't have had me on with alcohol.
The thing is, if you're going to pose by a Lambo and make out it's yours, you're going to do it properly. What you do is you get yourself personalised number plates made up and blue tack them onto it.
That's Photoshop is good too. Yes, I should try that with my private jet.
See, I could never get away with that because they'd go, "You're not fitting in that, mate." Doesn't matter how much you're trying to convince us you're not fitting in that Lamborghini. No, anyway, sorry. Photography. Let's do room 101 for photography before we finish. We've got about half an hour left, so let's do room 101 for photography, and let's start with someone who's actually got something, and that's Jamie, because I know that you've definitely got something, Jamie. So
he always revises, doesn't he, Jamie?
I do. I'm a SWAT. I am a big
Yes, no, that's
SWAT.
good.
Yeah.
what are you putting in?
That's why. All right, I've got a couple of things. Yes, I have an app that is completely useless, which is hyperfocal distance apps. Come on, who uses an hyperfocal distance app?
Oh, with you. Yeah, absolutely.
You know, what a waste of bloody time that is.
The only reason I don't use it because I always forget my tape measure. That's the only reason.
Do you know
Exactly.
what? I have never, ever looked at a photo and gone, "Look at the hyperfocal distance on that."
Isn't it ridiculous?
No, but have you looked at a photo and said, "Look how sharp that photo is"? I bet he's used hyperfocal distance.
Exactly.
Neither. No. You haven't. No.
But who actually really understands it or can care less about it, if we're honest?
Care less. They can understand it,
we
but-
just focus a third of the way in or to
Exactly.
infinity or
And
whatever.
it always
you know?
works.
And it always works. Yeah.
So-
So it's a complete waste of effort creating an app.
That's going in.
The
like
concept, the science, okay, it's there, and maybe I'm not going to challenge the science because I'm sure it works, but making an app for people to physically bloody get, as you say, get a tape measure and measure it, waste of bloody time.
You learn that by just getting out there and shooting, right? You know that if you shoot with a 24mm lens, that you're going to get totally different results than shooting at 200. And just by getting out there and using different lenses and trying stuff,
apertures.
you quickly figure out when you're taking a shot where you need to focus. It's not rocket science. It's just get out there and practice. You don't all these courses and training. It's all.
Plus, you've got an LCD
bollocks.
screen to review that image as well.
By the way, before we carry on, the Pubcast sponsored hyperfocal distance app is coming out to Android and iOS next week. So, what's the next one?
A couple of random ones, really. They're products that you get that are a waste of time. Tripod bags and lens bags. You know when you get a tripod and it comes in a really expensive looking bag, doesn't it? What the hell do you need that for? It just goes. I've got 3 or 4 of them just sitting in the cupboard that I've never bloody used. Waste of time. Nobody puts a tripod in a bag and then puts it on their backpack, do they? Waste of money. And then the same with lens. Sometimes you get those nice fancy lens bags. James is going to come up with a whole load of them now. Those fancy lens bags as well. They're just give me 20% off the price and don't put the lens bag or the tripod.
You get this lovely
bag
sort of leather.
exactly
I'm going to use that.
Exactly that.
Oh.
Yeah, exactly
What
that.
is it?
Yeah, what a waste of money. Reduce your packaging, reduce your bags, and just give me a cheaper product. Simple as.
Yeah, you look like Brian. You look like Brian Harvey out of E17.
More like Noddy. Anyway,
They were good.
so that's me done. So they're my products.
No, I'm all for you there, Jim. Yeah, absolutely.
I think let's go to Simon because I think he's probably revised something and got something down.
I hadn't thought about it, beforehand, but now you're talking about it, I think people that are selling color presets, what's a load of bollocks?
Yeah, we've done that one. Move on.
Yeah.
Have we?
No, I'm joking.
No.
Gary was trying to flog some at one point.
I mean, really, if you need to buy a color preset, you shouldn't be doing photography. It's part of the creative process.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I've got a set available called the Panoramic Cheetah set. Carry on.
I'm thinking about bringing out I'm talking to Johnny Rotten about doing a load of bollocks series. You know.
Never mind the bollocks. Here's the sepia.
never mind learning to use Photoshop. Here's the lazy answer.
Yeah.
I'm a lazy sod. There you go. Perfect. No, the other one is I've got two. I've forgotten what the other one is now. Carry on. Just go to somebody else.
You should write it down like me. Come on,
I know,
put it on
I
a
should have
post-it
written
note.
He's so prepped.
Jamie, do you use presets?
I have bought some presets in the past, absolutely. Yeah.
Oh, you have?
I
Mark
bought
Littlejohn.
Mark Littlejohn's presets. Yeah. But do I use them? Yes, I have looked at using them, but I use them as an easel to start painting from, rather than a transformation of my shots.
Okay.
I wish we started with you.
I don't. It's fun.
Listen, I'm supporting good photographers in the community by buying their presets. That's what I'm doing.
Dave, you can go next.
Okay. My first one is backpack camera inserts. What a waste of time they are. If you've got your camera in your backpack, it couldn't be in a worse place.
That's me.
Oof. Okay. Struggling with that one.
Yeah, but I mean, if you've got a camera, you want it in your hand because you can't. It was in your backpack. It's no use to you. No use to you whatsoever.
Okay. I mean,
So
right.
I've got a backpack that has a camera thing built into it, and you unzip it and open it up, and it's there. So I've got a primer stove, I've got a water bottle, I've got a little a cup, some coffee bags. It's like a little kitchen. But I haven't got any photographic equipment in it.
You've got a chair as well.
I've got a deck chair and a brolly. And they all go in my camera insert because all my kit is to hand. So that's my first one. My second one is camera settings. When people say, what are the camera settings for that shot? My stock answer now is you don't need to know because it's no use to you whatsoever.
Yeah.
I agree with that.
I don't understand why anybody would ever want to know what your exposure settings are. Yeah. I can understand things like focal length and sort of how you compose something creatively. I get that. But knowing, shutter speed, if it's a moving subject, yes, I get that. But by and large, just to sort of, what was your ISO, for example?
It's funny, actually, because recently in my vlogs I've been posting my camera settings. It's something I haven't done before that in a long time. I just think it adds a little bit of extra content, but I've always been umming and ahhing about it. I'm with you on that, Dave.
Do you know I used to post mine all the time? Always.
Tom Seaton does.
Yeah, but then I looked and went, this is such a pain in the arse doing this extra text. No, and it makes no point because, like you say, the light's going to be. You're not going to go and stand in exactly the same lighting, exact same conditions I am. So it's a waste of time. So that's gone now. They've gone for me.
No. See, what I do is if there is some reason why I'm shooting at a certain shutter speed or at a certain aperture, I'll explain that when I'm taking the picture.
Yeah.
Just routinely putting my and as I say, people write in all the time and say, "Oh, what were the camera settings?" And it's sort of I have written back recently to one guy and said, "Look, you don't need to know. It's not going to help you at all. You need to get over that as if having that magic formula is going to make you a better photographer. That's no reason to follow my photography."
Yeah, and if you've got any issues, you can fix it all with a preset. So
exactly.
Yeah.
Go on then, James. What you got?
The only thing that comes to my mind is UV filters.
Oh, yeah.
What is the use of UV filters? I think they're commonly used these days just to protect the front element.
Yeah.
But do they actually work? Do they actually cut down the UV? Do they actually shred through that?
What does it even do?
What does it do?
What is it? What's
Modern
it
lenses
reduce
have
the
got so
hairs,
many
but-
coatings.
Yeah, I mean,
just to protect them.
It is that, isn't it? I mean, if you want to shoot, you want to cut through the hairs, you use a polarizer anyway, do you not? I don't use filters, but...
No, I have no idea. I have no
I'd like to hear
idea
that.
what a UV
No.
filter does at all.
All it is putting an extra layer of glass in front of your expensive glass and therefore degrading the image potentially. Yeah.
What about expanding on that and filters? What about filters?
Polarizer and that's
ND
it.
filters. Huh?
Polarizer is all I use.
Is it? I don't even use a polarizer, do I?
But I do use ND filters for video though, because you need to, right?
Yes. Yeah.
But
If
for
you want in that
photography-
shallow depth of field, yes, I agree.
You know, you do not need filter. Well, you know, no, that's my opinion, and that's if you like using filters, if you like the process of standing in the rain, having pulling out all of these filters and getting them wet and wiping them and sliding them into things, and that makes you happy, then do it.
Makes me happy.
There you go. And I've seen you do that, Dave, in person, and you're happy. You've got a smile on your face. So we're going to leave you to do that. But personally, I prefer just to take 2 shots and do it in Photoshop in the warm while I've got a beer in my hand. It's personal preference.
Dave, you're a filter user, right? Can I ask you this question? Because this is... Did you do this? Because every time I ever got a grad filter out, I would do this. I'd get my bag out, and I'd go, right, 0.1 soft grad, or 0.3 soft grad, 0.6, 0.9 soft grad. Like, regardless whether... Do I need it? Why have I even got a 0.3 and a 0.6 soft grad?
Yeah.
I'm never ever going to use them.
Did you 2-stop? Yeah.
Yeah. I'm literally 0.9, thank you.
Well, the
That's the only
easy
one I ever
solution,
use.
I've got a solution to that works for me, is I've only got one grad filter.
It's 0.9, right? 3-stop filters.
yeah.
Like the other ones, you just go, no.
No, because in a situation where there's enough dynamic range to need a filter, you're very unlikely to satisfy that requirement with anything less than a 0.9. So that the other ones become irrelevant, because those are the instances where, with a modern dynamic range, you won't have a problem anyway. You'll be able to either, not clip the highlights or pull the shadows, whatever you need to do. It's only when you get into the realms of a bit of a headache. And Simon makes a really good point. I mean, they can be a real ball ache. But when I'm in the mountains and the camera's on my shoulder strap and suddenly there's a shaft of light on another peak, I could bracket it because I've got really good IBIS in the camera. But it is actually easier to have a filter just on the lens, so it comes off the shoulder, click, I've got the image. Knowing that, because the dynamic range can be pretty colossal. You've got dark rock of a mountain versus a shaft of light. The one I did recently at Ridley, the light was intense in places, but bits of it were really dark, bits of some of my compositions. I did a lone tree shot. That lone tree, to the eye, was solid shadow because the sky was so bright. So I angled a filter on that one. But yeah, I just found, and I didn't start using filters when I got back into digital photography after I came back to it after my sabbatical. But I thought I'll give it a go because I had used them back in film days. And I just found them useful. And I won't have anything in my bag take up space or weight that isn't useful. If it's not useful, I don't need it. So it's just personal preference, but I totally get not using them as well.
Yeah. No, I think it's whatever makes you feel good, but it's when people try and force their opinion, that's what annoys me. Again, going back to, it's like people that become case filter ambassadors, right? So now they're gonna, if they're doing workshops, you can try out a whole range of case filters. They're basically double glazing salesmen. Of course, they're going to try and get you to say, oh, yeah, you need to use graduated filters, and I can sell you them right now. We can do a deal.
My favourite thing when you've got a filter ambassador, regardless of who they are and they're doing a video, is when you get those little close-ups.
Cynical comment.
Cynical
comment.
You get those little close-ups, so it would like just zoom up and there'll be the logo. Lingering on the logo.
I'm just putting my Wolverine version 3.4.
Yeah, exactly. I'm just going to drop in a a case. I'm just going to drop in a leaf filter here. I'm just going to drop in a case filter. It doesn't matter. It's a filter, isn't it? I'm just going to drop in a filter.
I must admit, I can't imagine. The only thing I'm prepared to be an ambassador for is the mountains.
Yeah.
Because they're worth being an ambassador for. But in a million years, if someone come along and said, "Oh, will you use our stuff and be our ambassador?" I'm sorry, but you haven't got enough money to get me to do that.
Yeah. But you know what? I do make fun of people that are these ambassadors and try and flog all this stuff to make a few quid. But if you've gone into doing landscape photography as a full-time job and need to make money from it, I guess you've got no choice. You've got to do your after daily routine, right?
Well, I know I don't necessarily buy that, Simon, because if you say you're right, I'm going to set myself up as a landscape photographer. It's perfectly feasible to do that off the back of selling good work and helping people to improve, because you can run engaging workshops and all that sort of stuff. There are people out there. I mean, we had Stuart on. Stuart's a great example of somebody who does it based on the quality of his work, and quite rightly so. And he's got all the overhead and expense of a gallery, and yet one hopes he's tough times at the moment, but he's making a living. And if let's be fair, if you're an ambassador for something, you don't get much money for it. You get a free bag of filters and tuppence halfpenny. A friend of ours was an ambassador for a filter company. I won't say who or which filter company, but I'll let you lot work it out. And he was getting tuppence halfpenny for every sale, and they were hard won. Because most photographers have already got their, if they're filter users, they've probably already got a set.
And also, because you get so little, you feel you're probably having to push something, and then you're becoming pushy. And that's probably where filter ambassadors get a bad name, because they get so little commission for selling it. They then have to push it, and then you then become pushy. So
I just think if you're a professional landscape photographer, be that. Don't be as you put it, a double glazing salesman. Because if you're desperate enough to get, if you're a successful filter ambassador, you'll be doing well to make 100, 200 quid on the side per month. And if that's the difference between being a successful photographer and not, you're in the wrong job.
Christ, that's loads of money for me.
Yeah, no, I think
it's just an additional source. And the landscape photographer these days, you need to bring in as much different sources as you can possible. So it's just another additional revenue.
As long as you believe in it, though. I think that's the thing. You've got to believe in your product, haven't you? Otherwise,
I'm just putting on this crap filter.
Yeah.
But
you don't really need, because I've got Photoshop anyway.
I wonder how many people, though, actually put on their...
Except for polarizer.
How people put on their whatever filter and go, I wish I had a different one on, but I've got a... do you know what I mean? I wish I had a proper one, but I've got to do this one. Anyway, do you want to know my Room 101 thing?
Go on then, Gary.
I've got two off the top of my head all of a sudden. One of the first one is what's in my bag. Right, I don't care what's in your bag.
One of our recent guests has just posted.
He has.
Yeah.
I don't want to...
Do you not like it?
Who is it?
Owen.
I
did it as well.
I don't care what's in your bag. I literally couldn't care less. No disrespect.
That's everyone else.
What's in my bag? Oh, I've got a camera and I've got a couple of lenses. Well, of course you have. You're a photographer.
and a cheese sandwich.
Yeah. What are you expecting? Oh, I've got a snake. I've got a snake in my bag.
To be honest, to be fair on Owen, there's a bit of a story there. He's completely changed.
It was about his change of system, wasn't
That's
it?
okay though. That's saying I've changed my system. Let's talk about it. But it's when it's like everybody, what's in my bag? Well, we know what's in your bag. It's going to be a camera.
I was planning on doing that. I know, not purely in my bag. But
do you know that the reason they're so popular for a lot of people is because they put Amazon links, affiliate links, on their thing, and it generates money, and that's where this whole what's in my bag thing started. I've never done one.
I'm going to try that. I think I'm going to try that.
Yeah. It's not just what's in my bag, it's what is my bag as well.
Yeah. Oh, yeah. Oh, God.
Yeah.
Oh, my new bag. My new bag. And the other one, actually, there's another one as well that winds me up with photographers, is when you watch someone and every 5 minutes they're getting a new camera. It's like, so I've got this camera, And then the next video, oh, I've now got this camera. And the next video, oh, I've got this camera. I've got 400 vlogging cameras. I've got 75 bags. It's like, take a picture with it, mate. I mean, at least, you know. Anyway. And the other thing is any.
This is always going to be a great subject for Gary, isn't it? Things that people hate.
Any focal length below 21 millimeter. So anything below that can go into room 101. Any focal length below 21 millimeter can go into room 101. That's it.
What a crap.
What? No, serious.
Shut up.
Serious.
You've lost it. I finally got there. It's taken us an hour.
You mean take a pano instead rather than doing it wide?
Yeah. I just mean,
Yeah.
why wander up somewhere with your 16 millimeter thing and go, I've got a lens here. I'm a landscape photographer. I'm going to piss everyone off here. I'm a landscape photographer, and I've got a lens here that can only really take the foreground because the background's so small. You need a microscope. You need a telescope to see.
You're not using it right then. You're not angling it. You need to angle it.
Well, you get 60. You take something at 16 millimeter, right? Anything further away than me to this screen is like 3 times as small as it actually really is. It's like, what's the point? Unless you're taking a picture.
Oh no, because
of a
natural
crack in a
curve
rock.
and wide angle, it enlarges the topper end of your image.
Sure.
So it elongates the foreground, and it leads into the landscape, the background, and it distorts it. It's all about using distortion. No,
that's rubbish. Total rubbish.
You know what? That interesting that you talking about wide angle lenses, because my recent video I thought I'd review a new lens that I got. So I'm
16 primer.
I'm doing. Sorry, move that. I'm doing the whole thing that the whole commercial thing here. I'm using lenses in the title to get views and stuff. I'm just sort of experimenting right now. But I was looking at a bunch of YouTube channels. I thought, what are other people talking about with what are the best lenses to use for landscape photography? And it's unbelievable. Everybody's of course done a video on the best lenses, the lenses you must have in caps and all of that stuff. And it's interesting from if you're just coming into landscape photography and you want to get some advice on YouTube, it's really confusing because some big channels, we're talking about the bigger channels here that people will get in their feed, say, oh, don't use a wide angle. And others are saying, use a wide angle. I feel sorry for people because there's just so much, there's so many different opinions around. I saw one video, I watched one video, and the guy was saying, oh, I don't use 50 millimeter. I only use wide angle or telephoto because 50 millimeter is boring and I don't want to take boring images. I'm thinking, most of my life I've used a 50 millimeter out in the landscape. If you think your photos are boring because you're using a 50 millimeter, I don't think the problem is with the lens, buddy. It's just.
Sorry. Anyway, I think we're done. I think that's it for this week.
You've got it all off your chest now, have you, mate?
Yeah, just for this week. Yeah.
Do you feel better?
It's like therapy. It's like a therapy session. It's like I start the session by saying, it's like an Alcoholics Anonymous, where I start the session by saying, I'm not an alcoholic, as in, I'm not judgmental anymore. I've got over that. And then by the end of the session, I pour the whole lot out, and all my judgment just comes flooding out, and I can't help myself.
That's what we're here for, mate.
Yeah.
Don't worry.
It's good.
Every week.
You can't buy the T-shirt, by the way. It's not for sale.
Oh.
Anyway, thank you for watching this week. I hope you've enjoyed it. I'm very sorry I've probably ruined it for everyone, but it's been great having you on, Simon.
Yes.
Really enjoyed it. And
the end of any reputation I might have had. Thank you.
Ain't that the truth? Listen, we haven't got time to do a part 2, but we're going to get you back on at some point in the future, and we will do another one with you because it's been brilliant. So thank you so much for coming on.
It's been great fun.
Yeah. And we will all see you next time. Goodbye.
See ya.
Bye.
Bye.